You are listening to another Third Coast Nerds podcast. Talk nerdy to me.
Welcome, friends. Another Third Coast Nerds podcast. My name is Chad.
This is Neil.
This is Kyle.
This is Edward.
And we are joined by the Edward today.
Welcome, Edward.
Is it the Edward now?
It's the Edward.
I like it.
Sounds about right.
Have you been knighted?
No, that'd
that
be
would be
Sir.
Sir
Sir
I
Edward.
know. I like Sir Edward. It has a better role.
If he's
Yeah.
knighted, he's the Sir Edward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Does the Sir Edward talk about himself in the third person?
He does a lot.
How does that sound?
Could you append the and make that your official first name? That way you could be the Sir Edward.
The Sir Edward. Yeah.
The only Sir with a stutter.
Well, I don't know. Anthony Hopkins is kind of getting old, so
True.
he's starting to.
You're going to take his throne.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a legit throne, man.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I want to see you in Silence of the Lambs now.
Well, it has to put the lotion on its skin first. So.
I want to see a Silence of the Lambs where you play every part.
We've got 2 cameras. We can pull that off now.
Yeah.
Is he going to be the lotion in the basket?
You could be the lotion. You could be the hole in the ground. You could be the
Clarice.
basket. I've been dying for so long to hear the story from the basket's perspective. How does the basket feel? What is his motivation?
Going up and down, carrying that lotion, wondering if it's ever going to be used. I can see the story just writing itself, honestly. So
I hope it's a graphic novel. There's pages and pages of a basket on a string.
yeah.
All right. Well, we're here.
Yeah, we are.
Looking forward to now. I guess we're gonna start getting ready for Space City Con.
That's the next one.
It's the next one.
Space City Comic Con.
Space City Comic Con.
Yeah, it was
Wait.
Space City Con like
Hasn't it changed names?
Yeah,
it's,
2 years ago.
It's Houston Space City Con now, right?
No, just Space
it's
City
just
Comic
Space
Con.
City
Okay, I thought there was redundancy somewhere in there.
No, the Houston Con was last time.
Because I got very confused when we were talking about this a few months ago. Because I thought there were like 3 different conventions that all had very similar names.
There's the amazing Houston Comic Con, right?
Yeah, that's when we went to
That's
last
the
year.
one I
Chad.
missed last
Yeah.
year. Which then the Space City Comic Con was called the Houston Con last year.
I thought it was just Houston Con. There's no the.
No, it was the Houston Con.
And the Sir Edward would know. But yeah, so when you had those 2, and those 2 were also, 2 weeks apart? They were both in the
Yeah.
end of August, I think.
Yeah.
So that was kind of confusing. But I'm glad. I like Space City better than Houston.
Yeah. I didn't like the name change.
Like, for me, it goes Clutch City, Space City, then Houston.
I like that.
There needs to be, someone out there needs to do a Clutch City Con. And just confuse everyone that shows up for basketball.
That would be hilarious. Did you see the Adidas shoes that Marvel's putting out?
No.
Yeah, they have. So the old T-Max, the green ones.
Right.
Well, they made them green.
Those ugly ones.
Yeah, they put some purple around the bottom, and they're now the Hulk like T-Max shoes. They're releasing a Thor one, an Iron Man one. Like, I saw a notice for it today and sent it to all my friends at work.
I'm looking up the
Oh,
Thor
wow.
one right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I was like, so now do you take shoes to these guys and have them sign them? Like, hey, Edward Norton, remember that movie that didn't do so well? This shoe came from that movie. Can you sign it for me?
Or even like Eric Bana.
Exactly.
We mentioned the Eric Bana Hulk on the last podcast.
Well, and that came on this week. I tried. I didn't last more than 3 minutes. Then I put it on one of the new Marvel movies.
I haven't tried to look at it.
It was bad. But it'd be kind of cool. I mean, you've seen the thing that Kristen got signed by Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee.
yeah.
And just like to have that hanging on the wall with a T-Mac shoe below it. And have like Stan Lee sign the shoe.
Does the Hulk shoe have green on it?
It's green with purple.
Okay.
Why is
So-
the Thor one black?
The one I like about the Thor one is it actually has the hammer and the little like...
Oh, I'm not looking at the right one. This one has wings.
So, but yeah, I was hoping someone besides me had seen those because what are your thoughts on that? I used to collect shoes. I know Ed probably was the same as me. He had as many Jordans or whatever.
Yeah, Pippins were.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much
right. You're a
what it
Pippin
was.
fan.
So I had a couple of Jordans. I had Scotty's regular Bull shoes, his USA Team USA Dream Team shoes. When he came to Houston,
Oh, the Quittens?
Yep.
So what do you think about
see,
collecting those kind of shoes, like
got-
the Marvel shoes?
Oh, I think that's going to be pretty awesome, man. I mean, especially if they come out with some DC stuff too, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they'd
Yeah.
have to work with,
Yeah.
but maybe Under Armour would pick them up, or Nike, maybe.
Go
That way,
the
you
way of
DC
all
from that
sports.
side. Yeah,
Didn't-
Isn't
you
Under
could-
Armour doing like a whole line of stuff related to Daredevil?
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Man, Marvel's everywhere,
So I guess DC's going to be cut out.
right?
Yeah.
Haynes.
If,
Haynes and
if
DC are going to
Converse-
team
They'll,
up.
they'll have the Balance, New Balance.
Haynes got Michael Jordan though, so maybe they can transition to Nike.
Yeah. If Converse is listening, I will certainly take a reissue of the Larry Johnson React Juice shoe in any color of your choosing.
Very nice, old school.
Yeah, I was way into the Charlotte Hornets for some reason back then.
Larry Johnson.
Well, Larry.
Yeah, there's that
Johnson
too.
runs
Yeah,
with Warner.
like reruns of Martin late night on UPN and the Grandmama commercials.
It's great looking down the table and just seeing the lost in Kyle's face. He's like, "What did Neil just do to this podcast?" He brought up basketball shoes and looked at Ed and smiled.
I wear shoes. I don't care, really. I
Would
can only
you-
find 2 that fit in a store.
Right? Would you get a pair of shoes signed by Thor?
I would have them all collected, and every time a movie came out, I would wear the shoes that was for that movie. But they'll probably make up to size 13, so I'm screwed.
So would anyone want to go in half on a pair of each? Because I don't need both of them hanging on my wall.
I'm going to wear them. Actually, I'll do that. Though I have one to wear and one to put on the wall.
What are you going
One
to wear on
set
your?
to wear.
Yeah, he's going to wear one shoe.
If I buy a set and go half with him,
Well, I
then
mean,
I
how
have
much-
So
one
you're going to
set
go to the
wear.
premiere of the movie going Longfoot, Littlefoot?
Well, if there's 2 a minute, I got to wear one of each. If it's like
Oh wow! For the Avengers,
Yeah.
What do you do there? Which shoes do you wear?
you take a bag, you just switch them out.
It sounds like you need to march it more than once. Thor
that could
one
work.
time.
Yeah,
Hulk
you're
one time.
yelling at the projection booth from the pause the movie so you can switch shoes. Like, oh no, this is a Black Widow moment.
And these are not Velcro. They're not going to come off easy.
Oh wow.
That would be legit if they had like a Stan Lee issue shoe with like Velcro.
Yeah. From SAS.
That'd be wicked, man.
Okay. I don't like the Thor ones as much. They're not the right colors.
Yeah, yeah.
The Hulk ones
Those are the T-Max, man. those are the winners.
and the Captain America ones are pretty nice.
Those are interesting. They got blue on them.
Yeah. Iron Man I would definitely wear.
I like the Iron Man and the Thors. And
Do they
the
have
Hulks
jets
a
on the
little
bottom?
bit. No, I don't.
Can I
think-
fly if I wear them?
If they had like Iron Man wheelie shoes,
Ooh.
I would buy
Yeah.
those. I'd have to buy like 3 pairs and sew them together, but I'd buy them.
I thought they made those for adults.
They're called skates,
Skateboards.
right? Yeah. And
Someone told me at some point during the height of like the wheelie shoes that they made them for adults.
was it Monkey that told you that?
No, it was a reputable source.
Because if an adult has a pair of wheelie shoes, it's him.
You know everything on the internet's not true, right?
Well, I don't know. There's a good chance it could be.
Well, I'm not quite sure how you transition from Marvel shoes to anything else. So I think we should just go.
Abandoned.
So they announced someone for Space City Con this week.
Who's that?
I don't know. It's someone from Constantine.
Oh, you mean Constantine himself?
Oh, is that what it is?
Well, on the website,
I like
it
how we're
says
beating around the bush like we didn't
Constantine.
invite Ed to specifically talk about Constantine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly why.
Well, I watched a little bit of Constantine. It came on with Legion, I think, was the other show.
I thought that was a horrible movie.
Legion.
Well, maybe there was a show that came on based off of the movie Legion. I forget. It was around the same time that Constantine came on.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. I was just so stoked for Constantine. So,
I tried to watch them both, and I stopped watching both.
well, I think that's probably where you fell. Instead of just being committed.
My problem was it wasn't Keanu Reeves. like, no one can act the way Keanu Reeves acts.
Well, the movie has a lot of redeeming qualities of Constantine. I mean, I thought that based off the Hellblazer, that's where Keanu Reeves' character is. You know, he's from Hellblazer.
Okay.
And then you got Matt Ryan, who's doing the TV series.
That's the guy who they have on the page as Constantine.
Right. Yeah, his name's going to be Constantine from now on.
Do you think they know his name?
Probably not. But his Constantine is from the New 52s. So,
Okay.
So you're dealing with two different Constantines at this point. I think with Keanu Reeves' Constantine, you got more of the cynical side.
Yeah, a little darker, maybe.
A little darker. The new Matt Ryan's was tried to be a little bit British rude, I guess. A little more hasty in his decision making as opposed to Keanu Reeves, who was a little bit more relaxed, I guess.
It did have a almost Sherlock feel to the character.
Does he have an accent?
Yes.
Yes, he does.
Oh,
it was a throw off for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch that.
See, again, that's because you're going off of the Keanu Reeves Constantine. He Americanized. He's in L.A. instead of starting out in London. This new Constantine series started out in New York. So you're like all over the place when you're in the universe of Constantine. The original Constantine, Hellblazer, was in London. He was a blonde. Keanu Reeves was a dark hair. He was, L.A. The one thing about the Constantine movie, you got to see how much of a smoker John Constantine really was.
Yeah.
And you got to see him suffering from the cancer and everything else. And you also got more in touch with how, his past decisions led up to who he was becoming in that movie. With the series, you're kind of like thrown fast forward, past all of that. And you're finding out, okay, well, he's in a mental institute. What is he doing there? You never really truly find out in the series what all went down that led him to that. I mean, there's little bits and pieces here and there. That a girl was killed, a little girl. That a bunch of his friends keep on dying. Nobody's telling you exactly what's going on with Constantine in the TV series, and I think that's because they probably thought it was going to last a little longer than one season.
Well, it is significantly longer than the movie because that was less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But,
and that's one thing that happens when they take you compare movie to TV is they got to point out in the movie those smaller things and make a bigger deal out of them because they had to highlight something in their short time frame.
Right.
So with the TV show, did they get to highlight more, or was it they were going over a longer period of time, so they didn't touch on things detailed?
They were trying to go longer.
Okay.
So, they weren't trying to focus in on, Papa Midnight's backstory. Whereas in the movie, you got to see Papa Midnight.
Yeah.
He's this guy who's running this nightclub, and everybody's afraid of him for some strange reason. In the TV series, you kind of get his backstory. He's this voodoo king kind of guy. And Constantine's relationship with him hasn't actually been developed yet. Whereas in the movie, there's a relationship there. That they had some sort of run-in. So you're getting that history on the TV series, so you're not getting to see a lot of the, the more intricacies within the movie and the TV series and the comics in general.
So they're having to build a relationship versus it already being established for the movie.
Right.
Which, they don't have time in the movie to go through
but
make
again,
them friends.
they were trying to say, they were planning, I think originally the series was supposed to be planned for at least 90 episodes. So they were looking at, at least 5 seasons of this. So with the lower viewership and now being canceled, you're kind of left on.
You look so sad.
I am kind of sad.
Are there rumors of it going anywhere else?
Well, there's always rumors. I mean, there's Hulu and there's Netflix and stuff like that. I don't know. I would like to see it probably picked up by Hulu. Probably do it better than.
It was on Sci-Fi, right?
No, it was on Fox.
So there's always the opportunity that Fox is known for doing one thing.
Canceling
TV shows.
Yeah.
But, Sci-Fi's actually picked up a few things. So we could get lucky, or you could get lucky, and Sci-Fi pick it up.
Yeah, well, I guess we could find out when he's down here in Space City Comic-Con.
Right.
See if he's still working. Because I think that's the only role he's ever done. So
between the movie and the show, are they like different parts of the timeline, or are they just not consistent with anything except his name?
No, they're different parts of the timeline.
Okay.
So
is it broken up like Marvel? You have the comic book and then the cinematic universe? Where
Oh, no, it's not that great.
Some say great.
Yeah. Well,
some not so much.
I mean, the Marvel cinematic universe is, just so vast right now. It's tying in a bunch of storylines. I mean, we can all start speculating as to where they're going. I mean, if you're any sort of comic book fan or any history about Marvel, I don't think this is going to be a spoiler, but we're going for the Infinity Gauntlet Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been brought up.
Yeah, so
I'm thinking it's getting close to the Patton Oswalt rant, where you have everything coming in. Just where'd the Millennium Falcon come from? What's this going on? Guardians of the Galaxy flying in. They're like, what the?
Oh, and it's great because he's a part of it. He's a
yeah.
cast member in Shield.
Yep.
He's an agent.
Yeah, true.
Him and I don't know
Billy.
how many of his twins.
So maybe he
Yeah,
actually knows what's going to happen.
Right?
We're looking at a great movie coming.
His characters are fun though.
Have y'all
Yeah.
seen the poster they made for that rant? Someone took all of the movie posters from everything he mentioned and photoshopped them together.
Nice.
I have it saved on my computer. I'll send it to y'all. It's one of the best things. Maybe we'll post it.
If you like his rants, read Silver Screen Fiend. It's a book, he's actually got quite a few books he's written, but Silver Screen Fiend is all about his love for movies, and it goes deep, like art house deep.
Silver screen what?
Silver Screen Fiend.
what's that last word you're saying?
Fiend.
Fiend. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing fiend. I'm like, man, what is that word? I don't know. So
There was a magic card that had Fiend on it that we
Fiend.
played not too long ago. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of it.
It was a black card.
No, it was white.
Oh, there's a fiend. There's a fiend for black too because I had them in my.
It's magic. There's probably lots of fiends.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
But now I can't remember it. It's bothering me because I was going through my magic cards and it was in my white deck with angels because it would exile things with him.
There is a computer in front of you, and Google's pretty good about putting stuff together.
It is. It is. Did you see Google's new their new fee thing or FI they're trying to do?
No.
It's mobile phone piggybacking on the Sprint and T-Mobile networks. But it's interesting because they're going to tie in calls over Wi-Fi and a bunch of other things, and it's pretty much a flat rate. So I'm kind of wanting to see what they do with it.
I'm looking forward to that relationship growing because I know a couple years ago I have Sprint. I know it's a little off topic, but the Google Voice and all that incorporates really easy with the Sprint voicemail and everything. So I'm hoping that I eventually have a Google phone and Sprint doesn't exist.
I posted this earlier today in something that no one that's listening to this can ever see. Like our private hangouts, I'm just talking about everyone could see it. But there was a product called Hound, and it works on your cell phone. You can talk into it, and you can say the most obscure thing. Like if you're a comic fan, you're like, "What was the 513th book Thor appeared in with Silver Surfer?" And blah blah. Like name off a bunch of random things, and it comes back instantly and goes, "Oh, that was this."
Nice. So it's like an updated Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. But if you went the long roundabout, the third island from Korea, for 415. What was the population of an island 415 miles from whoever? And it'll name the island, and it will tell you how many people were there on a specific date.
Is this a Google product?
No, this is a SoundHound's product. The guys who brought you SoundHound is bringing Hound. So, yeah, I read that article today too. So
Yeah, it was trippy
That
because
sounds-
it's pretty awesome. I mean, one of the cool things about it with Siri and the Google Voice, some of the things you say and the way you talk, they can't pick up. Whereas the Hound is actually developed by a linguist and a guy who does speech. So it's pretty amazing with how vast and how huge of a vocabulary it has. So that way it's understanding and everything like that. Yeah, there was this huge article on Wall Street Journal today about it. So.
yeah, it wasn't just the linguistics of it; it was the context.
Oh yeah, I mean, but it's just using the same resources for Google searching and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not using its own database or anything, which would be pretty amazing if it did.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was instant feedback, kind of like how Wolfram Alpha was, or Wolfram Alpha, if I can.
I still don't know what you just said.
Yeah.
Wolfram Alpha.
The wolf from Alpha?
Alpha Wolf.
By the way, it was Fiend Hunter.
Fiend Hunter.
Yeah, when it came in, it exiled target creature.
So is this app pretty much Jarvis?
It might be.
I don't know if it can make you metal underwear
Yeah,
though.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you got to integrate it into some hardware. It can't just be on a phone.
If you can be like, Jarvis, bring me egg rolls, and it calls takeout and has someone deliver egg rolls to you, then maybe.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because there's no Chinese places delivered to my house. So isn't the new 52, you mentioned that a minute ago, aren't they rebooting that again or something? I know
No,
Convergence
the
is
new
happening.
52 is the whole reboot.
No, I think there's a
DCs.
new reboot now with DC.
The 53?
No, the new 52 is basically the reboot for all the DC comics. So they have right now Daredevil reboot, Justice League. There's the Justice League Dark, which actually has Constantine as the leader of the Justice League. So, you know,
There's the Batman, of course.
Yeah, the Batman series. I think they actually
I think it's called Convergence.
Yeah, they're not doing a 52 reboot. It's a whole different.
Okay, so 52 is going to continue.
Right, 52 still.
Okay, it's always difficult to know what they're doing because I know what Secret Wars is coming out for Marvel soon.
Yeah, but it's like Secret Wars 3.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, with Secret Wars, they're also re-releasing a lot of the original Secret Wars from the 70s and before. So you're looking at even like today, if you were to go pick up the new Secret Wars comic, it has actual graphics from the original series. So it's pretty cool. And it's giving me a chance to relive my childhood at 36 now. So.
So they're making money off that art twice?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm
Nice.
thinking. I'm sitting there like,
That's kind of a brilliant move.
That's genius.
That's double dip, man.
It's called rebrand. But Domino's Pizza's not Domino's Pizza anymore. It's just Domino's. Yeah.
So are they using the same cover, or is it a new cover?
No,
you
new
get
cover,
something
new cover art. But when you open it up, you're seeing the old graphics, the old inking,
Like the whole thing?
Yeah.
So they just rewrapped it?
pretty much.
What
So
time does the
it's pretty
closest
awesome.
store close?
Probably already. Or pretty close
I
to
think
it.
So
Yeah.
But yeah, Swords and Superheroes is open again.
yeah, you told me I need to
I
go
actually
stop by
stopped
there.
in on Saturday after we separated from basketball.
Oh, you did go?
Oh, yeah, I did. I wish I would have called you and told you don't go down that way because that whole street was flooded out.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
But you got to go to a comic store.
I did get to go to the comic store, because I'm still searching for a copy of Dead Winter, the board game, which I actually found at Hastings, of all places.
Nice.
So I'll have that in my collection probably next week.
I bought a Boss Monster this week and the expansion.
Oh,
So
I haven't played that one yet. So
It's fun. I enjoy it.
yeah.
Plan on playing that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, with our vacation.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. I like the box on it. It's 8-bit, old school.
Oh yeah, aren't most of the cards?
Yeah,
drawn
they're all
in that?
old. Yeah, it's a dungeon builder. So instead of leveling a character from 1 to 10, you level your dungeon to stop things from getting to you. So it's kind of backwards a little bit.
what you're
but it's
telling
all
me.
like side scroll setup, so it looks like you're playing an old school like Contra style game.
I play Castlevania.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it should be in tomorrow. So it'll be something we can play here pretty soon.
Yeah, I was going down the rabbit hole on Google trying to figure out how to build like emulators.
Yeah.
So I just kind of quit that whole venture because I was like, I want to play Contra now.
Yeah, I was going to say, why build it when there's already so many out there?
Well, can't you
Yeah.
use PlayStation Now to play the old Contra?
It's kind of like that whole you got to catch them all kind of thing because I want to be able to go from Contra and then have my ADD kick in and then just switch gears and go to like Cool Spot.
Oh yeah, no, I feel you on that one because like when I downloaded the whole Sega Genesis ROM collection, I was just bouncing around from Golden Axe to Sonic, and I mean,
Sonic.
and we're talking about like
love
in a
Sonic.
matter of like 10 minutes. I mean, I started it up. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Let me play something else real quick.
Yeah, because all the names start coming to mind. You're like, oh, there's Rygar.
Yeah.
Contra just gave me a flashback of when Neil introduced it to me. It was a Christmas present he got me when I had a PlayStation.
Yeah.
And he showed me a Best Buy ad, and he's like, I got you something on that page. And I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, oh, is it this? I didn't know what it was at the time, so I'm confused still. I had that page with me for like 2 weeks trying to figure it out. And I opened it up, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah,
I played it, and I played it nonstop for like 3 days.
Well, when I
awesome.
had my Nintendo, games just appeared. Like I didn't know anything of Nintendo Power. I didn't know there were ads in newspapers for games.
Yeah.
They would just appear. Like friends would bring them over and like, oh, this game's wicked, and it was always introduced that way. Like, you ain't heard of Contra?
Yeah, it was a lot different back then. Now you do all your research. Back then, your buddy came over with a backpack.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Mortal Kombat 2. It's like, what?
Yeah.
I was just playing 1 yesterday. Yeah, I mean, nowadays you get
Now
an
that-
email, they tweet about it. Like, you get a flyer in the real mail.
Well, 2 months before the game's released, you already know how to play the first level.
Yeah.
Like, all the news is out there. You know where the Easter eggs are. You know everything.
Well, and you're doing your research to see if you want to pre-order it, if it's even going to be worth it. I mean, it's kind of taking the fun of it. I remember back then, like Tekken 3, I went to Sam's, and they had like the huge thing you had to take a knife to open it up to get it. And I was so excited because I'm like, it's a fighting game. No one knew much about it. It was just out. Nowadays, you have to do 3 or 4 months of research, and then it ends up sucking.
This is where the old school really comes out, and this is where, I don't know, maybe we all reveal that we're really, really old. This is what I miss. I miss walking into the random neighborhood video rental stores and picking up a random game just because the cover looked cool.
Oh, yeah.
I remember rage quitting and trying really hard to pick it up again in the 3 days that I had it. There was a Star Trek game for Nintendo that was impossible to play. I mean, like, you talk about, like, Nintendo hard. This game was Nintendo ridiculous.
I remember the Star Trek Next Generation for Game Boy, but I don't remember the NES one because, yeah, I mean, the Game Boy one was hard as it was, too, and we're talking about a handheld at that point.
So you start playing the game. It may have not have been Nintendo. It may have been Genesis instead. I can't quite remember what system it was for. All I know is that you're on the bridge, and you get your orders, and it's like, go to this planet, and then you just stand there on the bridge trying to figure out how to make the ship go. Like that was 2 days. Like, I don't know. Like, Data, I'm looking. There's only 2 buttons on the controller. How do I slap Data and make him take off? You know,
You just say the word energize.
yeah,
You win.
it so.
In one word, that game is over.
Well, you have to do it in Morse code using the 2 buttons.
Yeah, I was trying to Metal Gear it, and like maybe I have to like move the controller to port 2. Maybe it's a mystery. Maybe it's a puzzle.
Well, the kids these days, instead of doing that, they just open Steam.
Yeah.
Like
there's
there's I mean the cool thing about it is there's games for what $1 to $5 all the time on there.
Yeah.
And I've bought a few here or there. I played them for 15 to 13 minutes. I played them backwards a little bit. But yeah, I miss going and like you walk in there and it smells great. Like,
Video Max did not smell great.
BO and like some sort of like rubbing alcohol. And,
Well, too,
and there's
like,
always
how
a
many-
rewinder going, making noise.
The glorious number of B movies that you found. Like in the course of a weekend, you just pick up 7 of them. The only ones I found recently were Wolf Cop.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. What'd you think of that?
It's on my Plex. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh.
But there's Wolf Cop and there's Zombievers.
Oh, yeah, I saw Zombievers. I didn't watch it yet. I saw it on Netflix. But Wolf Cop, that was actually premiering at Texas Frightmare Fest.
Oh,
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to go see it. I've been wanting to. So now that you have a copy of it, I might be watching it.
I guess we should introduce Ed to everyone as our horror person.
Not horror.
There were 3 R's in there. I promise. But yeah, we went to Texas Frightmare 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and you've gone back since. I hadn't made it. It's way too close
This
to
was the
Comic
first time
Plaza.
in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, wait, 2 in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to say that's the one that kind of started us on the
Yeah.
whole con path. We went to that one, and we were like, we can do this all the time.
So I really have you and Kristen to blame for this.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I can blame all of y'all because we did Comic Palooza right after that.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Well, before I went to Comic Palooza with you guys last year, the last Comic Con I went to was maybe 97, and the bottom had fallen out of the comic book market, and there was no one there, and there were artists giving away pages. Just please come. We'll sign anything that you have. Just come. And they're just giving away art. And now it's like the portfolios are there, but everything is marked ask for price.
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost you.
Well, I mean, that's good. And we have local artists arting and selling their
Well, it's
art.
good the market's there again. It's good that movies
general
support the market
Yeah,
again.
well, I mean, I think it's that whole, again, that Marvel Cinematic Universe playing into the public and, reaching a lot of people that normally comics wouldn't reach. I think for us, we were all into computers at young ages, and then there's, video games, and it kind of, there's that natural progression, right? You're going around. So we got computers, we got fantasy books. I know one of us is a huge RA fan.
I raised my
Neil's
hand.
They
raising his
can't
hand.
see you raising your hand, Neil.
Yeah,
We had a GoPro last week.
Yeah.
They would've seen it.
Yeah.
So
That lasted for all of 7 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, that went down quick.
The battery died.
on the way over here, I was just thinking about that, how my geekiness has evolved. When I was growing up, we had two guys who were basically the fantasy nerds and stuff like that. They're, everybody picked on them, and I was a closet nerd. I played board games. I played D&D a little bit, but I didn't let people know that.
You didn't wear your glasses all the time, just when you had to read?
Yeah, just, only when I was in school, because I could see the chalkboard, So, I was an undercover nerd, I hid. But these kids, man, I remembered them being picked on. They were doing a book report on Druids, the novel Druids, which sounded fascinating to me. But I couldn't say that because then all my friends were like, no, Ed, don't talk to them. They're losers, And,
but Druids.
I'm like, but I want to know,
What school did you go to?
Well, I'm a military brat. So
Military? Okay.
Yeah, I was in
a lot of them.
Kadena Air Force Base, elementary and stuff like that. So
yeah, probably a whole different environment. But like in private schools, I was the only one that my parents actually bought me Wizard magazine. So you show up with Wizard magazine with like Wolverine all hulked out on the cover and everything like that. And it's like, oh, like everyone wants to read about it because they're not allowed to read any of that stuff. Like when I brought Magic to private school, and it slowly got picked off over time. Like it started off, all the 5 colors were good, and then someone saw one of the black cards with a demon on it, and all of a sudden I had to talk to the principal. And then black, well, you can keep playing the game, but let's not bring any of those cards anymore. So black was gone.
So was this like a religious private school?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's similar to how they did EQ at my school. Like they heard that a group of us were playing it. They looked at it a little bit and they're like, when they hit max level, they kill people. That was said to us. They're like, y'all aren't supposed to go, like, no, you said level 60. We're level 70 now. There's an expansion.
We were all playing Hexen in the computer lab until someone squealed on us and said, they have a thing on there called God mode. And then we never got to touch the computers again.
We played Counter-Strike and Half-Life when we were fixing the teacher's computer because no one knew how to do anything.
Yeah.
They'd walk in, they're like, what are you doing? Testing the bandwidth, just a constant ping going on the teacher's computer. We're like, when that completes, we'll be done.
I played Worm and Gorilla.
Yeah, you're older than me.
Yeah. I guess you take the cake in the geekiness here.
I remember in third grade we had the giant floppies and we had to put it in the...
Yeah.
I don't remember the games.
Well, I remember Civilization when I got it my first, like, I think it was 3.5 inch floppies. That was...
Those used to be called hard disks. It's so annoying when we start talking about old school computer parts and everything like that. I'm like, man, no, that was a hard disk back in the day.
But now a hard disk drive is a hard drive.
It's a hard drive, And then we had the floppy disk, and that's what people refer to the 3.5s now. Those are floppies. I'm like, no. Back in the day, the 525s were floppy.
Oh, the 525s. Not even 5 1/4, huh?
Yeah, no. I go old school.
Yeah, I had a lot of the 525s. Those were fun.
Frogger. It was in the
Yeah,
green
Frogger
one.
was in there. Win, Loser, Draw on the computer was great.
Moon Patrol,
Yeah.
Hubert.
Yeah.
No, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh,
yeah.
I saw a picture the other day, and it was someone doing one of those like secretive selfies so they could get the people walking to the store.
Yeah.
It was a chick dressed like Carmen Sandiego standing next to a dude that was dressed like Waldo. And he's like, I found them both. Nice. I was sitting there going, and they had no idea. Like, you can tell they weren't dressed up for a con or anything. That was just them dressed up. Like, that's their normal day. And I'm sitting there going, where is this? I have to go. I was like, that's my childhood dreams to find them both.
Right?
Yeah.
You know how many like awards you would win?
But it's like the elementary school that I pass on the way to work, and like a quarter of the kids walking in are straight up Dora the Explorers.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like hair, everything.
I was thinking you were saying they were all Hispanic, but
That was horrible.
And welcome, Ed.
Welcome, Ed. But on the horror front, there was a movie that came out, and I've actually wanted to talk to you about this for a while. There was a movie called Honeymoon with Rose Leslie from Game of Thrones.
wow.
She was the you know nothing Jon Snow chick.
Yeah, no, I know.
he knows names better than
Okay.
I know who she is, but I haven't seen that one or seen a preview for that. So.
It came out last year, and it was I haven't seen it yet, but I kept reading all these like great reviews, like this is the best horror movie that's come out in a long time. Very unique perspective. So we'll have to watch that and talk about it sometime.
Yeah, for sure, because I'd pretty much watch anything with that redhead. So,
Yeah, I watch it. She's one of my favorites.
yeah, she could teach me a few things. I might be just like Jon Snow. I know nothing.
Have to learn you good. But it was it was an interesting looking movie.
What was it called again?
Honeymoon.
Honeymoon. Okay.
Yeah, I asked him if it was a chick flick when you mentioned it last time.
No, the IMDb synopsis: a newlywed couple finds their Lake County honeymoon descend into chaos after Paul finds Bee wandering and disoriented in the middle of their first night.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
And it's not like a found footage
Oh, good.
horrible.
You know?
Yeah,
We're not watching Wreck again.
Not a
or-
shaky hand.
they're
Yeah.
advertising a new one, like a new found footage horror
Yeah,
movie.
there's just so
There's like a
many.
new one out every like 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I'm so glad that Blair Witch Project actually existed.
I've never seen it.
And
I've done this
that's
long and never
sarcasm
saw it.
if you guys
Yeah.
can't tell. So
That was like a big thing. It was like, oh, we got to watch that. I'm like, no.
When it first came out,
retarded.
you're like, "Oh, what's going to happen here? Why is that dude facing the wall? He's facing the wall for a long time. What's going to happen?" Like when it was unique when it first came out, but after then, like everyone started doing it, and still to this day, still do it.
Yeah,
well, I mean, what we have Paranormal Activity,
like
that kinda
7
does
or
that.
something now.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's Wreck, which is the European, which is actually pretty good. The Wreck series.
I haven't seen them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You should check those out as horror movies in general. Then what
There were
else?
the
We have
Saws.
The Saw. Well, were the
that wasn't really
Saws-
found footage.
Yeah, those weren't really found footage. There was VHS.
Yeah.
which-
Oh,
yeah. That also has I think 2 or 3 new versions of it. There's
Hopefully
like
one's
VHS
called
2
Laserdisc.
or-
Or Betamax. You know?
yeah. So. there you
And they have to go like hunt for the player to play the movie.
right. They have the media, but they don't have the player.
How are we gonna watch this? I don't know. Let's go into that house over there.
Yeah, somebody out there. If we can't get to it, someone out there make the spoof. That's all about. Like it's not even about the videotape that they find. It's all about like the horrors they encounter.
Just trying to get to play it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
janitor at the complex that has the Betamax player in the back.
Everybody throwing out DVD players at you. You're like, no, not a DVD
That's
player.
not what I need.
Somebody throwing out a box of Blu-ray. Here you go. No.
It's a VCR, but why does it go in from the top? I don't understand it.
So I spent all that time while you were talking to find the picture, and I sent it to you. 'Cause it was awesome.
I see.
Okay, yeah, I acknowledged you. I had
They
seen the
didn't.
picture. Okay, but that's a legit. That you have to know. You have to know. There's no way. Like even with No Child Left Behind, where you're just reading like, well, there's Walter. You know who Waldo is.
There's Walter.
Yeah. Like with 3 people on the page, like, oh, there's Walter. Yeah. You got to make it easy for some.
Walter White.
Walter White. Yeah. That would be a legit book. Let's teach kids all about the Walter White character.
That'd be an awesome child's book. I'd buy it for my nephew.
Just to see like a 5-year-old telling his teacher, "I'm the one who knocks."
Right.
So what else is going on in horror, man?
Let's see. We got Poltergeist. They did a remake of.
Are you going to watch that?
God, I don't know. I think Hollywood has decided that they want to rape my childhood. So, I am going to watch it.
Are you obligated to watch it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the only reason you're going to watch
Yeah,
it?
I mean, you have to.
You're not the first person I've heard
saw
that
it.
from.
I
You
saw
have to
the
give it a
original.
shot. You got to give it a shot because I mean, it looks with the trailer. The video looks like it could go either way, but it's the voiceover that's like, oh, it's going to be horrible.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they changed from the original one, right? There's,
Yeah.
Instead of the median who comes in and says, "Oh, you guys are haunted by a poltergeist." No, you got a reverend. He's gonna come in and bless the house for you. you
Yeah,
know?
which never goes well.
Yeah, no.
No.
I thought they were supposed to follow the old one very closely, is what I read.
To an extent, I mean, it all depends on how you're looking at it, right? With the way Hollywood has, again, raped my childhood, they become
How
really
do you-
liberal.
How do you feel about the reboot of Sister Act?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no.
You didn't hear about
I
it?
did not
casted?
hear about this.
I just read
casted
it.
the shit?
I just read it like yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember you saying something on one of the Hangouts, but I haven't looked it up.
Well,
yet.
Yeah, like the end of the world is here. They're going to reboot Sister Act.
I'll be honest. Whoopi.
That's like the
is-
missing pages
is
of
funny,
Revelations.
You know, but Sister Act, I can do for a reboot. It's okay.
Now, the only way I would watch it is if Lauryn Hill was in it.
Oh, that is nice. Or Erica Badu.
So
No, I said Lauryn Hill.
What about Erica Badu?
I don't know who that is, so I'm going to stick with Lauryn Hill.
Are you only going off the one album she put out, or
More the Fugees than anything.
okay?
That she had a one, which probably still has it. I doubt her voice went away, but
Yeah.
she had an awesome voice.
Didn't she go to the prison for a while?
To the prison? Like, was she singing for people?
No. I think she got like put away for a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, when I Googled Sister Act reboot, it says Prison Break, Sister Act. Apparently, they're rebooting Prison Break too, but they didn't get the title right.
It's all about Whoopi trying to escape the studio for the view.
Nice.
Okay, so when I do a Lauryn Hill Google search, movie Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit comes up.
Yeah, she was in that.
Lauryn Hill was?
Wasn't she?
I don't know. Was she?
Yeah, when
I thought she was in I thought she was in the first two.
Let's look at IMDb.
Yeah.
That's.
'Cause I thought she was one of the choir kids.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Did
She
I know
was.
something about
No,
Lauryn Hill you didn't know?
yeah, you did.
More importantly, like you knew something about Sister Act.
Okay.
All right, we found what my specialty is.
Yeah.
She was in Sister Act.
Stargate and Sister Act, apparently, are my hot topics.
It has her listed as a performer for 2 songs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she didn't have a name,
Well, in
just a face.
but in Sister Act 2, she has a name.
He is the guy that plays Constantine. He's just Constantine.
Yeah.
So right now you can equate Lauryn Hill's career in Sister Act to the guy that plays Constantine.
Matt Ryan.
There we go.
No, it's Constantine. We had a discussion earlier.
I would get it changed so they have to credit me in everything I'm in from that point on as Constantine.
Right.
And just with the outside chance that you might play Constantine again, and it shows the credits Constantine himself.
That would be pretty pimp. Yeah.
But what else in horror, man?
Let's see. We got the Poltergeist. There's there's this one movie that came out during Texas Frightmare again. Bloodsucking Bastards. It's a kind of Office Space meets horror kind of thing. So you got a guy who's recently dumped by his girlfriend and finds out that his boss is a vampire.
Oh.
And they start there's a lot of killing, a lot of gore.
I pictured the printer came back and killed everyone in the office.
So
Yes. Yes. The paper pickup roller strikes again.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting about something that just recently came out in horror.
You might be.
Yeah, I don't know.
You are the horror guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm more of the keep it B. You know,
And that whole genre just fits into the B-rated movies.
pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, most horror movies.
That's one of
if
the
done
things.
right. You know, it's a B movie.
And that's what I'm not happy about them redoing some of these.
Right.
Is I liked watching the strings when things were throwing across the screen. You know, like that little level of cheesiness to where you're like, yeah, me and my grandmother used to like point them out and talk about them. And now you got CGI and all this other stuff. They're trying to make it look so lifelike that it looks fake.
Did you see the original Fantastic Four?
Yes.
Wait, the original movie with Jessica Alba?
No,
or
the one that
old
was like
school,
the early
like the
90s
70s?
Fantastic
Oh,
Four.
The 91. Oh, yeah.
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 Where they were just making it to retain the rights.
Yeah.
Where the Mr. Fantastic stretchy arm was a folded up piece of paper strung along a piece of fishing line and zero graphical editing after that.
Well, sometimes you got to keep that trademark.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of the episode of Stargate where they do the entire episode with strings and they go through the Stargate and just fall over.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, that's
that's
funny.
great.
Yeah, some of those animations, like when I first saw Wolverine, it was leaked and it wasn't complete.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's
one.
the only version I've seen, and I will not watch it because that was awesome. He had the foam fingers running around. They were bending when he was climbing. I was like, I'm not watching that.
It was recently shown. There was a TV show. I can't remember the name of it. There was a TV show broadcast on the BBC, and it aired with incomplete graphics. Like it went out to air with blue screen and just the actor standing there by himself without. It was some kind of scene where he was in hell or something like that. And the other scenes, they had like CGI demons around him, like tormenting him. And there was one scene of him just acting, going, ah! And there was no fire, there were no demons. And it was a long shot. It wasn't even like a cutaway.
That's awesome.
It was a long shot that stayed there for a good 2 seconds.
I remember that copy because I think we got that copy probably 2 to 3 weeks before it hit the theaters. Mm-hmm. And we were like, sweet, we didn't know that it wasn't complete. And like we turned it on and we're like, oh. And then after about like 10 minutes of it, we were like, this may have even like been a better deal than watching the movie.
Yeah, where you still had like the green screen, the markers on the bodies of the actors.
It was very entertaining.
It was awesome.
And the wire work with the visible wires.
My favorite was the ending scene when Cyclops was supposed to be falling, or not Cyclops, but hit the version of wow, I cannot.
You talking about Deadpool?
Yeah, with the Cyclops eyes, and it's cutting through. All you see is just like a laser, and then like half of a drawn out cylinder. It was like I have no idea what's actually happening right now.
That's why it was hard for you to identify who it was because it was a cylinder with the laser beam coming out of it.
Yes,
my favorite scene was the plane against like no background, and polygon mountains. It was like, oh, because I did computer animation in high school, and it was Windows ME, no computers to do any of this stuff with. Yeah, Windows ME, yeah. You cringe. You cringe.
I'd have been like, nope, done. You can't teach me anything.
So you would do like you would hit render on the computer and walk away for 6 months and just let it go and hope that the 15 seconds that came out was good. Because
I think the 6 months is probably an accurate time frame there.
Pretty close.
It did. It took 6 months. It took 6 months to render like 15 seconds worth of material in 3D Studio Max on those computers. And you're hoping it because you only got one shot at it. And we would just leave notes on the computers that say, "Do not turn off." Like, pray that the school never loses power because the UPS
for 6 months.
For 6 months, you
start at the end of hurricane season and hope you make it.
No, like so in computer animation, we were already like there was only 7 of us in that class, and we walked in on day 1, and the instructor told us, he's like, "You already know more than I can teach you, so just have stuff ready to go for competition at the end of the year."
Nice.
And so we each had 3 computers, and it was just go time. So we knew how long it would take because I mean, there was like 5 prerequisites to get in that class. So we already knew the performance. We already knew how long it would take. So you just you did your meshes as quickly as you can. You applied your textures as quickly as you could, and you were rendering by week 3.
Nice,
because it was going to go through like spring break to get it done. And you come back and like we'd have to go back frame by frame and fill in with Photoshop, like where some of the polygon meshes didn't match up, some of the textures didn't match up, and having to go through frame by frame, 24 frames a second to correct an open polygon that wasn't closed, and then it only had like a month to finish it. So for 15 seconds of footage, I was like, oh, but it's like I felt good about the Wolverine movie because like, oh, it looks just like the stuff that we made back in 2000 with Windows ME.
Nice.
I was very happy. Like Hollywood did it just like I did.
Yeah, on Windows ME, and that's where Hollywood is.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go buy a computer, put ME on it, and have Chad over just so he can show me.
Yeah. So do either of y'all know who X-23 is? Wolverine?
No.
No, I'm going to have to say no.
I know there was a book X-23, right?
Yeah, apparently it's a female Wolverine that Marvel's debuting.
Okay.
One of our viewers posted it when you asked.
Yeah, and
what should we talk about tonight? So I figured we should at least mention. I was hoping you knew X-23.
No.
But apparently it's Wolverine's, and they quote, Ear Bunny's daughter. And then they mentioned some other spoilers.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I was hoping one of you two knew about it. But I figured there's jumping the bandwagon because I know that was one of the things at Comic Palooza were women in Marvel. Mm-hmm. So we've heard of female Thor coming out.
Well, they already did that. There was a I think it was X-Men where they all did gender swaps.
Oh yeah,
I think that was back in like '99 or something.
Huh. Well, apparently this one's supposed to be coming back, so we'll see a female Wolverine.
Okay,
and she's been in some stuff before, so it's a known title, a known character.
Or a female weapon.
Yeah,
like
basically
Deadpool's Weapon 9.
Yeah, exactly, something similar.
Wolverine's
I don't know
Weapon
much about
10.
it, but
Yeah, so apparently she debuted in 2004. So
New
Yeah.
school.
yeah, very new school. So a little bit out of my wheelhouse right now, but I am slowly getting back into comics. So
Yeah.
we'll pretty much have a full mock-up of her.
You're going to go do some research on her now?
So we have a lunch conversation tomorrow.
Yeah,
Good.
much.
I'm ready to listen.
So, yeah.
She looks hot in this cover.
I know.
Which one are you looking at? This is the one I'm looking at.
Oh, I like that.
I'm looking for the post, but I can't
You
find
need to go
it.
to the Wikipedia of it.
Very nice.
She's looking pretty good.
You should send it via Hangouts.
Who's the artist?
That is Gabriel Del Otto.
Man, like all these new artists that I don't know anything about. I'm just glad to see that like J. Scott Campbell's still working, but he's like doing nothing but covers now.
Well, that's what everyone sees.
Because in his old art, and just send that out with a new cover.
His
Cover
action
that
sequences
earlier.
were awesome. Like I want him to do like a Spider-Man book.
Interesting.
Like his action sequences, especially like in that city kind of dynamic, would be killer.
What's so special about him?
His views, like I mean, from kind of mixing like a cinematography kind of like point of view. His action sequences, he just packs a lot of movement onto a page. Where some artists, it's more like static poses, but it kind of like fakes in motion. Like, oh, look at them! They're in like a pose that like oh they're moving. But there's the way he lays out his panels, the way he cuts across panels and blends the action sequences. It's all it kind of like I'm going to throw like old names out there, but like Adam and Andy Kubert, Jim Lee, kind of, to a lesser extent, like Rob Liefeld.
Okay.
But there was always a lot of movement in his artwork. Like if you go back and look at like Gen 13, it was especially featured in like Danger Girl. There was just his action. The first time I've ever seen a comic book artist draw a car chase that looked like a car chase. Like it looked like it was moving and didn't use any tricks. Like you could always go back in with computer art and blur it and stuff like that. But his just it lent well to motion.
We should go to one of the stores this weekend, either Fat Ogre or Swords and Superheroes, and find me a book to buy then.
Okay,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm very interested now. With
Well,
the way that you explain that, I'm
Not
like,
Sword and Superheroes.
no,
They don't have no books.
no books. Oh,
No,
they're
they-
mainly games, huh?
Yeah, games.
Well, this one, the one in Kingwood, has more comics.
Nah.
This one's set up as a hobby shop.
Okay.
Is what they've
We'll figure it out.
games/hobbies. I think is what it says on the sign.
DNA.
Because I like that.
Yeah, DNA.
description,
There's
so
tons of books there.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually really excited to see that guy's art now. I don't know why. It's like that's like the best description I've had about that in a while.
Well, I did
Yeah.
see one of our friends bust out that he's looking for McFarlane stuff. So
Yeah. Garcia wants to make a full wall of number ones.
yeah, that could be really cool.
Just number ones of anything.
Yeah.
And so, like, my idea of number ones is I would want to collect, like, all the number ones of, like, the independent movement that started. So, like, Cerberus, Exo Man of War, Ash, like, books that Ed might know, but, like, everyone looks at me, everyone just gives me, like, dead eyes every time I mention these books that no one's heard of.
Isn't Ash from Dragon Ball Z?
No, Ash. So, Jimmy...
Is that really the Ash that comes to mind? Because a different Ash comes to mind
yeah,
for
I
me.
get evil.
You're
The
thinking
Evil
the
Dead
one-
Ash
yeah.
and then
comes to
there's
mind.
also what's that Pokemon kid? Isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's an Evil Dead Ash, and the rest of them, except for maybe what he's talking about, don't matter because they're cartoons.
Oh, is it Ash and Pokemon? Not Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah,
It might be- it might be
I knew it
relevant
was an
to you.
anime, and I
You're
don't
anime.
watch it. See, he corrected me. It was
It might be relevant to you because the character Ash was created by Joe Quesada, who now runs Marvel.
Ah,
okay.
So based on what they did with that book in only like maybe 6 or 7 issues, Marvel's like, take Daredevil and Punisher and do something with them, please.
oh, nice.
And that's where they made Marvel Knights. And that's what pretty much all the content you see in Marvel everything right now ties back into all the stuff that these guys did in like the 80s and 90s. Like, because they took all these B characters, especially like Daredevil, and when they did like Marvel Knights or a lot of the Frank Miller stuff, like no one cared about Daredevil.
Wow. Who were you hanging out with?
Well, I mean, like in terms of like by and large, like yeah, like I read the books, but like no one, it wasn't a popular character.
Well, again, I go back to my childhood of being a undercover geek. You know, a couple of my friends were shared that undercover
Yeah,
personalities with me. No, Daredevil was pretty huge back in our day. I mean, we're talking about I was '88, so I'm 9 years old. You know,
Yeah, but that was like the Frank Miller stuff. But I'm talking like leading up to that. Like maybe the name is gone, but I mentioned him in the last podcast. But until those artists touched those books, they were B characters, and they got relegated to B or C or even D class characters up until Marvel Knights happened.
Well, I don't think anybody who has, I don't know, man. I kind of disagree with that because if they have their own storyline, they're not really B characters. You know, a B character would be, you know,
I'm like
Sean.
in terms of like what you would say,
Silver
like
Sable, you know?
a B book. Like go back and look at the sales figures of those books
Well,
in
I
that
mean,
era.
No, I mean, I think that's just, you know.
Well, you're coming from a
progression.
marketing standpoint, not
Yeah,
like
I mean, I think that's just
character
as,
standpoint.
As time goes, the artists, you know, their styles change. There's more evolution to it. I don't think it's necessarily putting it in that B aspect. Like B movies are really just bad movies, you know,
That's why they're B movies.
that are just awesome though.
Well, I mean,
You
I
know?
think like you would consider like Black Widow would be a B character in the Avengers stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about it in that context. I'm not talking about it as related to other things in the Marvel Universe. I don't care about what he makes like an appearance in. I'm not talking about in that respect. I'm talking about in terms of the way the actual publisher handles the character, because they would just throw anyone on the book until Frank Miller walked in and said, you know.
So you're considering it B because they didn't respect the character enough to give it a real artist.
That happened a lot. I mean, the
Yeah.
Marvel bullpen was famous because you'd have different artists and different writers on every book. Like every month, there'd be a new guy on a book.
I can see that though.
Like Marvel was famous for just churning out stuff from the bullpen just because.
Well, I mean, realistically, if you look at it, for me, right, having a different artist's perspective, having a different storyline.
Well, you'd have a different artist on page 7.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I can see the changes and everything like that, and I mean, I found that more exciting than. I mean, I love Todd McFarlane, I do, but I kind of got tired of him by like '94. So I was like, okay, he's a great artist, great detail. You know, his Spider-Man with that police car, one of the most famous drawings that he's ever done. That's amazing. But I don't need to read 15 straight comics of his art, you know.
You like variety.
Yeah, I like variety. I like seeing different stuff. I like to see other people's stuff. That's just the way I am, though. And with Marvel, the way that they were doing it, it was also giving young artists opportunities, you know, that normally they wouldn't have had.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
but up until
you wouldn't have gotten to see Jim Lee or Frank Miller or these guys who evolved into great artists without having those opportunities to do a couple of pages of Daredevil or, you know what I'm saying? So
I definitely see both sides.
Yeah.
You kind of want some consistency when you're going to buy into a character and buy a book.
Yeah,
But
because
then
it
you
was just-
also want to
that's-
see what else is out there.
That's why the histories of some of these characters are so convoluted, because it was just kind of like, what can you do for me this month? Like Jim Shooter was famous for that, just walking to the bullpen, and he would get like pissed off at whoever was on whatever book. They're like, well, you're off, you're fired. And he just walked to the bullpen and find like, can you do? Here's a script. I want him to do this, this, and this. And you go knock out pages 1 through 4. You go do whatever. Like just do it. Just make it happen. And it like Walt Simonson commented on that, because like Louise Simonson's first book for Marvel was The Death of Phoenix. And she just got brought in. The writer did not, I can't remember who was writing the book before then, he did not want to kill off Phoenix. So Jim Shooter fired him, hired Louise Simonson out of the blue, and just tells her, like, yeah, you need to kill Phoenix. Like, this issue, you need to kill her.
Well, I mean, if we're going to look at something like that, because with Dark Phoenix, you're looking at a character who is pretty much like Eon, if you ever ran into that character, or the Beyonder, basically gods. I mean, you can't really go anywhere with those, right? Like Thor.
Yeah, it wasn't even like that. Like, Shooter just didn't like the character. Shooter's reign as editor-in-chief over Marvel is famous for that.
Oh.
He was well known for that, just getting emotional about something. Like, I don't like it, kill him off. He was like, if you look at J. Jonah Jameson as a character, Jim Shooter was J. Jonah Jameson of Marvel. I mean, this is going back. This is way before McFarlane, Lee. This is way before those guys.
Of course, yeah.
But that impacted the history of all of these origin stories of these characters so deeply.
Well, I mean, that also gave us, I think we're also looking in, you know, the 70s and 80s of being that mass marketing of comics, you know, so you're always cannibalizing your market, right? So I think with that, you see the Web of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, what else? The X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. You know, you got all these different comic books, all these artists, and, you know, you're competing with yourself. So I think with some of the stuff that they were doing, they were trying to also flesh out. You know, it's giving that time. Where are we going with these characters?
Oh, that wasn't thought about at all.
No,
It wasn't thought about at all.
It was. I mean, we can all speculate and, you know, say that wasn't it. I mean, just look at some of the storylines with Spider-Man, right?
Well, go. I'll urge everyone listening, go listen to some of the interviews with Jim Shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his perspective. And he's still adamant about that today. He's like, why would I want this to continue? He's like, it needs to be something different. Like, from month to month, it's just like, why would I want to tune into the same story? Like, he didn't care about story arcs at all. He didn't care about continuity at all. It was supposed to be like, let's just throw everything out and do this. And it was always like, I just don't like this character. I don't like it. They wear red. I don't like red. Throw them out.
He should have killed Ant-Man. Pointless character, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was so much about, like, trying to, like, rearrange things. Because, like, a lot of writers were wanting to bring back the original five X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this plot to bring back, to start it off in X Factor. But when you start off X Factor, that's not actually Jean Grey. That's a clone of her, because the writer really wanted to bring back Phoenix, but Jim Shooter was like, he would read the script and he's like, what's this Jean Grey? We're done with her. She's dead. We're done with her. We're killing her off next month. And so, like, they would drag all these things out in secret, and the editors, like, once it would actually go to print, that's where you would get those little tags in the bottom, like, left-hand corner of the first book that had the little asterisk that was like, this is actually Jean Grey, but Scott doesn't know this. And they would, like, wedge those things in over time.
Nice.
So that, like, if you go back and read some of those storylines, all those, like, odd notes, those asides to the reader, like, that was, like, right before it hit print. They would just sneak those things in.
Nice.
And, like, next month you see, like, oh, that writer's gone. Like, gone. Like, not gone from the book, gone from Marvel. Like, everything.
It does not exist anymore.
He doesn't exist anymore.
So you didn't quit there. You pretty much just put a secret in a comic. That was how you quit.
Yeah. You put that was your Easter egg, and you were never heard from again.
He killed them?
Well, no, that was the thing. Like, you know, I think DC was, like, way more stable during that era. You know, there was a lot more stability there. You know, that's...
well, it sounds like one of their attempts worked better than the other, because Marvel is much larger than DC right now.
I mean, that was influenced by, like, the fact that Jack Kirby left Marvel and went to DC.
Yeah.
You know, it was over a lot of those issues.
You guys go ahead.
Awkward silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had that kind of like, I'm going to talk. I got something.
But all this happened, like, not during our era at all. But I go back and read, like, the stupid history of editors just because, you know, the character of Jim Shooter interests me.
Okay.
You know, just like I read some profile of him long time ago, and just had to figure out who this guy was, because he seemed like kind of an ass. And the way
so that
he ran
interested
things.
you, that you're like, let me read about this guy.
Well, no, it's just like his attitude with, like, artists and stuff like that, because that was one of the main reasons, the inconsistency with how Marvel treated artists. That was the whole reason why the Image guys split and left, because they were the consistency that those guys brought to those books, like McFarlane's run on Spider-Man and Hulk, the X-Men stuff, that, like, even though it launched tons and tons of X titles, it actually had some consistency now. There was, like, kind of a common universe to play with. And the attitude that they were delivered to, because they were hunting for rights. They wanted rights to these characters. They wanted some additional revenue for making these books popular. Because no one sold 3 million comic books until, like, X Factor. Or X-Force. Like, Liefeld's X-Force. No one had sold 1 million comics until McFarlane's Spider-Man. Like, those were the first time any comic book ever sold that many copies. And they were like, well, we would like to get paid for this. And the message they were given was, well, we'll just go get some guys from the bullpen. Like, you don't have any special ties to this. You know, you already signed off your rights to it. We can just go get someone else to do your book. Liefeld mentioned that at Amazing Houston Con, like that was repeated many times at his panel last year.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but for me, like growing up, I didn't care about the artist. To be honest, I cared about my characters. I cared about what was going on with them. So
I'm not saying I didn't say like care about the writers and stuff.
I think if you worry too much about the politics of all of that, you kind of don't get to enjoy the individual issues.
No, not at all, not at all. But when you have a book that ends with a cliffhanger and the very next book doesn't address that at all, and it's a whole new story, you just get like really confused, or it bounces to a different title.
I would not be happy.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, I
like Captain America.
You just draw your own issue real quick to kind of fill in the gap. And you're like, it's not a good one, but it.
Yeah, I have a lot of early 70s Captain America that would just finish on a cliffhanger and would never address it again.
Well, I mean, I think you got to remember when these are being written, right? That's how radio programming was.
Yeah, they're
That's
more
how
episodal.
Television was, you know? They didn't continue where that hit cliffhanger was. They're like, oh, tune in next time to find out where our hero is. And then they're like, okay, now he's in New York.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like even
just
going
got
back
out of
to when we watched a lot of Stargate,
Yeah.
of the mid seasons, there were 23 episodes per year, 24. 6 to 8 of those progressed the primary storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest of them, there was a lot of filler in there. Now, the filler, you learned little Easter eggs and little nuggets that you would play into later. So it sounds like they may have had just a huge case of that all over the place.
They're like the big storyline point, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see how that resolves. And then there's 3 episodes of, wait, they're not even going into the Stargate? They're worrying about someone here at home?
Well, it's kind of like, I guess that's kind of like a neat little feature of the movies now, because you're looking in the background of like the Avengers. You're like, oh, there's a wristband.
Oh, yeah.
That someone wore at some point in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail with the Marvel stuff.
Well, you had someone to talk to this time.
Yeah. And he kind of knew what you were saying because he could respond.
Yeah, but I think we were talking about 2 different eras.
Yeah, we were. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm more of silver,
Yeah, that is hair is
Like
getting a
your
little
hair.
silver now.
So yeah, just some of the stuff that the introduction to Vulture, from Spider-Man, and then all the way up to, I guess, let's see, I think the last thing I actually really read was the new X-Men when they came out in '92.
Yeah, when they relaunched it as number 1. Yeah.
With Magneto and the 6 different covers.
Yeah.
So those were pretty much that was my bread and butter time for comics. But now that we're doing all these cons and stuff like that, it's just reignited my passion for geeking out over.
Yeah. Well,
the comics.
it's such a great time because it's so easy, because now they have like the collected Marvel Omnibus. Like you can go back and get like everything.
Well, I
like
mean,
collected hardbacks of the whole thing.
They always had things like that though. Especially in the 80s, there was all those, or 90s, excuse me, there was all those encyclopedias for Marvel villains, all the superheroes and everything else that gave you kind of their backstory and then also what their abilities were.
But back then you had to spend like $80 on it. You couldn't get it on Amazon.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the thing is now, we all make decent money. We can just go ahead and buy it now. Whereas you're a 9-year-old kid, and we're talking about the 80s economy here.
Yeah, like if you're talking about economy,
like
I looked at it the other day and I was like, man, I really, like if you think about like the financials of it, I really should have sold my Spawn number 1 like 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Before, well, probably more than that. Actually,
yeah, for sure. Because you also remember at the same time when comics were booming, that's also when baseball cards were booming.
Oh yeah,
There was a baseball card convention every weekend.
Yeah.
Dude, Fleer 92 with the hologram stickers.
Yep. Boxes were $140 a piece.
Man, I got so caught up in that set with the yellow borders. That was my favorite, man. That was my dust.
I was an Upper Deck snob.
Yeah.
I collected Upper Deck cards, anything.
Yeah.
Like especially when they came out with the Dream Team.
Oh yeah.
Subsets. Those were awesome. And then also when Topps finally kind of entered the premium card marketing with the Stadium Club.
Yeah, the Stadium Club. The cards that would always get stuck together.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I inherited like 6 boxes of cards from Neil. I was living with Edward 7-8 years ago, And when I moved out, I left them there. I was like, I'll pick them up later. And then I was just like, you want them?
Yeah, no, they're pretty much at my house still.
You still have them?
Yeah, pretty much, I think. So,
Yeah.
so
There were a lot of Dennis Rodmans.
there were.
Yeah, those were in the book, though. There was like 18 pages
Of Dennis Rodman.
of 9 front and back Dennis Rodman.
I can't remember what year it's from, but I have an obscene number. I don't even know if you call it obscene. I just have an unrealistic number of Daryl Strawberries. I've got like 30 of the same Daryl Strawberry card, and I think it came from like one of the baseball card shows, like a grab bag.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know, it was a box of like 100 cards, but like, you know, a sixth of it was Daryl Strawberry.
Like, crap, we
No,
ran out. Let's put the rest of Daryl Strawberry in there to fill it up.
I still have my Scottie Pippen collection, which
Of
is
course.
about 126 cards.
About,
right now.
just
Yeah.
about 126,
Just about, yeah.
you know, around about.
You don't know the exact number?
No, I mean,
Someone's
I'm trying
gonna be
to
counting.
remember right now, you know, because there's 9 cards per page. You know, I'm trying to remember how many pages I have in my book, and it's also a Batman cover.
Nice.
So,
Is
yeah.
Scottie Pippen your Batman?
Scottie Pippen is my Batman. You know,
Back when Blank Man was.
Wow. Blank Man.
Oh God.
Oh, yes.
I loved those Saturdays. Comedy Central.
Well, on Blank Man,
Yeah, I think we can end it on
you
Blank
want to
Man.
wrap it up on Blank Man? Well, man, Ed, we're going to have you back, man.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good.
I think you're going to become a regular on this whole thing, man, just because of horror. Comic books we'll argue points, but it'll be like completely different eras, and we're both talking about the wrong thing.
Speaking of hardbacks, actually, one thing I forgot to mention. So I showed Ed this, was it last week? And then he reminded me 30 hours before the Kickstarter ended. But Control-Alt-Delete, and there's some people that I know read that. They did a Kickstarter for the last 10 years. They're putting it all in hardbacks. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, they're doing three books, volumes 1, 2, and 3. So those are going to be hardcovers for the first 10 years. Plus, they're doing a DVD, 3 DVDs
With all the PDFs.
So you get one disc that has a digital copy, and then you get 2 discs that have the animated series. So it's going to be pretty awesome once it comes out. We're looking at October as being the time when we're going to get it.
So realistically, December. We'll have a viewing party of the animated series. I've seen the first season. It's actually pretty good. So you'll have to come over and watch
Tim
that.
Buckley, great artist, great story. So with Penny, the Control-Alt-Delete guys. So
Can we get the same thing for Homestar Runner?
Oh. That'd be kind of nice.
Like a
look.
collected strong bad? What the email?
They need for looking for group.
Oh, yeah, Looking for Group. That's actually my next comic series that I'm going to go ahead and buy everything of.
Just buy all the things.
Yeah, anything that has it, I'm just going to buy it.
It's easier now because books don't launch with like 13 different covers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I
But
think
when they do,
But
Gotta
when they
buy 'em
do,
all.
yeah.
you know, I was just thinking, I was telling Kyle on Monday, I think it was, when I said, you know, I'm looking for my my heroes with the retarded battle calls. So, you know, I got the Tick. You know, everybody knows how much I love the Tick, and you know his battle cry of spoon.
Yeah.
And then looking for group, there's Richard the Warlock, whose battle cry is pony. So, hey man, I'm all over that right now.
Spoon and Pony.
Yep.
Don't
get you
spoon a
excited,
pony.
doesn't it? Thanks for that, Ed. We appreciate it.
Outstanding. So yeah, that wraps up another episode. If you're listening to the podcast, like it, rate it, review it. Please subscribe on iTunes, and otherwise follow us on Facebook. And,
Download it. Tell your friends.
Download it. Tell your friends. Hijack their computers and just subscribe for them. If they don't have iTunes, download it for them.
Yeah. If you're in a public library, download it on all of their computers.
Do it. Do all the things. Do all the things. However, do all the things legally.
Legally support your nerds.
Legally support your nerds. All right. Until next time, guys.